Have you ever felt it? That moment when the air changes for no reason, no sound, no warning. Just a pressure behind your chest, like something stepped closer. But nothing's there. Most people brush it off. They say it's nerves, stress, imagination. But deep down, you knew better. Because that feeling didn't come from fear. It came from awareness. You weren't sensing danger. You were sensing presence. And here's the truth most people never realize. You were never alone. Not once. Not even when it felt like the entire world had turned its back on you. Pull. Even on your worst nights, even when you were invisible, even when your name carried no weight, no protection, no value in anyone's mouth, there were eyes on you. Not the kind that judge. Not the kind that wait for you to fail. The kind that intervene. And the moment that truth sinks simple, everything you thought you understood about your life starts to collapse. Because suddenly you realize you weren't walking through chaos by yourself. You were being escorted. You thought you survived storms alone. But storms were being redirected before they reached you. Look back carefully. Every accident that almost happened, every disaster that missed you by seconds, every betrayal that fell apart before it fully landed. You called it luck, you called it coincidence, but it wasn't. It was orchestration. There are forces that don't sleep. They don't get tired. They don't panic. They don't hesitate. They don't speak in language. They speak in timing. They move things before danger arrives. They shift people out of rooms. They cancel plans you were never meant to walk into. They erase paths that would have destroyed you and open others without explaining why. And the most dangerous part, they don't announce themselves. You never hear applause. You never get confirmation. You just survive things you shouldn't have. And you stand there thinking, how did I make it through that? You didn't make it through. You were shielded. You were protected from conversations you never heard. From deals that collapsed quietly. From enemies who never got close enough to strike. There were disasters scheduled for your life, and they were canceled before you even knew they existed. You think the universe runs on chaos? It doesn't. It runs on structure. It writes equations. It follows laws. It executes systems. And somehow, you're a variable it refuses to remove. People said you wouldn't last. They said you didn't have the resources, the backing, the support. They laughed when you were quiet. They underestimated you when you were still. Some of them didn't just doubt you, they actively wanted you stuck. But every time they tried to box you in, something unseen carved an exit. Every time they laid a trap, the ground beneath them shifted. And they couldn't understand why you kept walking away untouched. They told themselves you were lucky. But it wasn't luck, it was loyalty. Loyalty from something you can't see. Something that doesn't need recognition. Something that moves like data through reality. Not loud. Not dramatic. Precise. They weren't watching you because you were weak. They were watching because your rise mattered. Think about the moments you should have lost, but didn't. The times you were exhausted, empty, done, yet something stopped you from quitting. That quiet thought that said, wait. That instinct that told you to pause, turn, or stay silent. That wasn't random. That was intervention. Those were the protectors who never speak, never sleep, never reveal themselves. And here's where the story shifts. Because they don't just save you, they shape you. Every pain you survived wasn't punishment. It was calibration. Every season of isolation wasn't abandonment. It was conditioning. They used pressure to strengthen you. They used silence to sharpen you. They removed distractions, so only what was real remained. You thought the storms were there to destroy you. They weren't. They were there to wake you up. You ever notice how sometimes the path clears right before you move? How delays end up saving you? How wrong turns prevent worse outcomes? That's not coincidence. That's alignment. You thought rejection meant failure, but rejection was protection. You thought heartbreak meant loss, but heartbreak was positioning. The forces guarding. You don't just block danger, they rewrite the timeline. They end relationships before they poison you. They break opportunities before they trap you. They dismantle plans that look good, but lead nowhere. They bend traffic. They interrupt calls. They cancel meetings. Quietly, they whisper into the chaos. Not this one. Not today. And the world listens. Your enemies don't even realize it yet, but they work for your destiny. Their disrespect sharpened you. Their betrayal redirected you. Their attacks forced evolution. They fall apart trying to understand why nothing sticks to you, why rumors die, why attacks backfire, why every attempt to use you exposes them instead. Because you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to shift the atmosphere. While you sleep, they move. While you break down, they calculate. While you think it's over, they're already turning endings into entrances. This isn't superstition. This is architecture. Everything that ever tried to destroy, you had to pass through layers you never saw, and it failed. Every demon became a lesson. Every loss became leverage. Every betrayal upgraded your perception. You weren't protected just to survive. You were being prepared. Because there comes a moment when protection stops standing around you, and starts moving through you. Your silence changes. Your presence weighs more. Rooms feel different when you enter. Predators hesitate. Manipulators lose confidence. People sense something they can't explain. You're not borrowing power anymore. You're becoming it. This isn't arrogance. This is evolution. The shield you prayed for became your composure. The weapon you searched for became your focus. True power doesn't scream. It rearranges reality. People plotting behind your back feel the ground shift. Their plans dissolve before execution. Their confidence drains for no reason. They call it bad luck. You know better. You're not running from darkness anymore. Darkness adjusts itself around you. You're not surviving. You're transitioning. Something shifts the moment you realize it. The moment you stop seeing protection as something around you and start recognizing it as something within you. Because there comes a point where the forces that guarded your steps no longer walk behind you. They don't hover. They don't block. They merge. Your breath becomes command. Your instinct becomes instruction. Your presence becomes pressure. You don't even announce yourself, yet rooms rearrange. You felt it. That strange stillness when you enter a space. These civilized people. That hesitation in people who were once loud. That sudden politeness from those who used to test you. They can't explain it, but something in them knows. Predators sense when the rules change. Manipulators feel it when leverage disappears. Threats recognize when access is denied. People. And that's when it hits you. You're not being guarded anymore. You are the safeguard. This isn't ego. This isn't fantasy. This is consequence. This is what happens when pressure doesn't break you. It refines you. For a long time, you thought silence meant weakness. You thought restraint meant fear. You thought calm meant surrender, but now you see it clearly. Silence is authority. Restraint is control. Calm is dominance without effort. Every time you chose not to react, something unseen reacted for you. Every time you stepped back instead of lashing out, the field shifted in your favor. Because true strength doesn't shout, it alters outcomes. The people plotting behind your back feel it first. Their confidence leaks. Their timing collapses. Their plans feel heavy, unstable, wrong. They'll call it coincidence. They'll call it stress. They'll call it bad luck. But you know what it really is? They're operating in a reality that no longer responds to them because your frequency changed. Chaos doesn't survive at your level anymore. You're not dodging threats. Threats are rerouting themselves. You're not avoiding storms. Storms are bending. The battlefield itself refuses to harm you. And that's when fear finally dies. Not because danger disappears, but because you understand something deeper. Nothing touches you without permission. And permission is no longer given. Think about how differently you move now. You don't rush, you don't chase, you don't beg, you observe, you position, you wait. And when you move, everything else adjusts. You used to think being alone meant abandonment. Now you understand. Isolation was initiation. The silence wasn't empty, it was instruction. Every scar you carry isn't damage, it's documentation. Proof of systems survived, proof of tests passed, proof of thresholds crossed. You weren't meant to be protected forever. You were meant to inherit the role. That's why the pain was surgical. That's why the losses were precise. That's why the betrayals were targeted. Nothing random sharpens a blade. Everything that happened to you stripped illusion away. It burned off dependence. It erased weakness disguised as comfort. So when the time came, you could stand without leaning. And now you feel it. That pressure in the air before something big happens. That signal that says move without explanation. That's not anxiety. That's alignment. That's the field shifting. Those instincts you trust now, they aren't guesses, they're coordinates. You think you're choosing, you're not. You're following a map written in patterns, not words. That's why delays stopped frustrating you. That's why rejection stopped hurting. That's why loss stopped breaking you. You see it for what it is now. Delay was disguised acceleration. Rejection was routing. Loss was subtraction, clearing space. because creation always starts with removal. And now the space is ready. You've noticed how things line up differently now. Doors open that shouldn't. Opportunities appear without effort. People reveal themselves before you even ask. Enemies sabotage themselves. Lies collapse under their own weight. Threats dissolve before confrontation. You don't argue anymore. You outlast. That's not revenge. That's resonance. You're vibrating at a frequency that chaos can't maintain itself in. And here's the part most people never understand. Faith isn't waiting to be rescued. These civilized people. Faith is realizing you've already been armed. The shield you prayed for became your composure. The weapon you searched for became your discipline. The armor you begged for became your mindset. You stopped asking the universe for protection and started moving like protection was guaranteed. And when that happens, the universe responds. Because confidence rooted in alignment is undeniable. You don't flinch anymore, you don't panic. You don't explain yourself. You walk. And the path builds itself. People notice it. They say you've changed. They say your energy feels heavier. They say something about you is different now. They're right. What changed isn't around you, it's through you. The unseen became embodied. You became the guardian you were waiting for. And that's when destiny stops being a destination. It becomes a radius, a force field that moves wherever you move. Nothing wasted, nothing random. Every betrayal recycled into awareness. Every rejection converted into leverage. Every failure repurposed into precision. This isn't fantasy. This is evolution. This is what happens when the protected becomes the protector. You are proof that unseen power can wear human form. Proof that purpose can't be stopped, only sharpened. Even your mistakes weren't accidents. They were controlled burns. Lessons without permanent damage. Detours that taught terrain. Errors that strengthened instinct. Imagine being so aligned that even missteps serve strategy. That's where you are now. You don't chase outcomes. You attract alignment. You don't react to chaos. You reshape it. The world doesn't act on you anymore. It responds to you, and that's why solitude no longer scares you. How could it? When you know the entire system has been orbiting your survival. You stop begging for validation. You stop chasing attention. You stop proving yourself because you've already been acknowledged by something far bigger than people. Your silence carries weight now. Your stillness commands respect. Your presence alters probability. You walk differently, not loudly, not arrogantly, precisely. People who doubted you will feel it first, not as anger, but as confusion. People who plotted will crumble under timing too accurate to fight. They won't know why things keep going wrong. You will. None of this is new. It was always written. These civilized people, you were protected before your first memory, chosen before you understood choice. Every battle you thought you fought alone was an orchestra. Every breakdown was reconstruction. Every ending was rehearsal. You were never the underdog. You were the variable they couldn't calculate, the storm they couldn't predict. And now that you've awakened to it, civilized people, you carry the same force that once watched over you. Their precision flows through your decisions, Their patience anchors your discipline. Their authority speaks through your restraint. You feel it now, don't you? That hum beneath your skin, that quiet certainty, that calm that doesn't come from comfort, but from control. That's not adrenaline. That's alignment. The equations adjusted. The pattern resolved. The variable finally fit. Every unseen force that once shielded you now amplifies you, not toward survival, toward inevitability. And when it clicks, it's terrifying. Not because of danger, but because of clarity. You realize nothing you endured was meaningless. The pain was pressure. The loss was subtraction. The silence was architecture. A blueprint written in absence and endurance. And now the structure stands. These forces were never babysitters. They were trainers. They didn't hand you peace. They trained you to command chaos, and now the roles have shifted. The storms that once terrified you wait. The uncertainty that once confused you listens. You don't dominate, you design. Because control isn't force, it's alignment. What protects you isn't separate anymore. It's coded into your breath, woven into your choices, anchored in your discipline. When you move with intention, the system moves with you. When you speak truth, it amplifies. When you rise, it responds. The world doesn't understand yet. They still call it luck, coincidence, timing. Let them. You know the truth. You were carried by precision, watched by patience, refined by purpose. And now, you don't need protection. You are protection. So rise, not quietly, not halfway, fully. Stand like unseen empires, adjust when you breathe. Walk like your shadow is flanked by inevitability. Speak like your words rewrite probability, because they do. You were never alone. Isolation was initiation. Silence was ceremony. Pain was permission. This story was never about survival. It was about succession. And now the crown fits, not gold, not praise. Grit, vision, authority. You don't sit on a throne. You become the standard. So step forward. The universe already moved.